Good morning. Friday. Finally got here. It becomes this major accomplishment just to get to Friday at the end of the week. It's bizarre how something that happens every week still feels like so much of an accomplishment. Anyway, today's topic. Today's topic is I'm coming down with another cold and can't speak again. Yay. No. That's not today's topic. Today's topic is Homebrew and its place in D&D. Now, Homebrew content, i.e. player-created content, i.e. DM-created content, has had a mixed bag of reputation through the years. In some editions, it's been considered just pure overpowered, unfair, unusable. In some editions, it's been almost necessary. And I kind of think 5e is one of those editions. Now, bear in mind when I say that I'm not actually just talking out my ass for once. There is actually a logical reason, backed up by the game company, why I say this. And you find that by looking in the DMG. If you look into the DMG, you find an entire area there on creating your own weapons, creating your own items, converting classes from previous editions, converting races from previous editions. Now, part of this is because of the way Wizards has changed their marketing strategy. This might, well, actually, it's probably not going to get too technical, but I don't know how technical I'm going to get yet, so disclaimer, kind of, not really. In 3.5, 3rd edition, that range, Wizards had, now bear in mind that 3rd edition, trying to sneeze again, 3rd edition was really the first edition that Wizards owned D&D. Before that it was TSR. Wizards bought D&D and tried a strategy with it that really worked for them for a while. And that was just print a lot of books. At one point you were getting 2 or 3 books a month at least, at the height of it. And just expect everyone to buy every book and make a load of money that way. That worked for a little while. When I say a little while, probably 2 or 3 years. I was one of the idiots that bought every book. But there came a time when even the most dedicated of players started to realize that they were printing books just for the sake of it. You'd buy a new book, and there would be one good prestige class, 2 really overpowered prestige classes, and 7 or 8 completely utter crap prestige classes, and then some new equipment that was upgrades on what you could find in the player's handbook, and a bit of background to tie it all together. And for a while, that was kind of the format. And you had to then buy the entire book to cull through to get those 1 or 2 elements. Now, the other issue with that was that at the end of that 3 years, you had 50 to 100 books to look through if you wanted to make a new character. If you wanted to play a rogue, there were 30 different prestige types of rogue. Now, me, personally, I love having choices. I love having options. And I had the books, and I knew the books, so I enjoyed it. I liked having all of those options. But not everyone did. A lot of people found it overwhelming. A lot of DMs found it overwhelming. Because the problem was that either you had to say, yeah, make your character using whatever you've got, and take the chance that some player had some book that you'd never seen before, that had some completely overpowered class that was just going to completely tank your game, or you restricted the books, cut down on what was available, and then listened to players complain because their favorite book wasn't in your list. It's what used to happen. But moving on from that, that was the design philosophy of 3rd edition. Lots of books, saturate the market, get everybody to buy everything. The world economy has changed. The capacity of people to just buy everything, regardless of if it's good content or not, is not there anymore. And they started seeing that even towards the end of 3rd edition. They started to realize this towards the end. I'm not even going to comment on 4th edition because it was a steaming pile of shit. And, yeah, now I've made myself comment on it, and now I'm pissed off. Anyway, 5th edition. 5th edition has come along, and they've tried a completely different strategy. They're not releasing splat books, as they used to be called, at all. They're not releasing class books. They're not releasing player supplements. What they're releasing is module content, storyline content, and to balance this out, to placate those players who want more options, they've got that chapter in the DMG. And that chapter is basically a homebrew charter. And I find that a lot of 5e is actually like this. And in a lot of ways, I enjoy it. I like it. It's great. Because it's going back to what D&D used to be. D&D used to be a framework of rules on which you built your own game. D&D did not start out as a completely fleshed out game. It started with, here's an idea, you take this from over here, you stick this from over here with it, you plug this into it, and you change the name of this, and once you've got all of those parts put together, that's D&D. It was your creation based on their framework. Now, 3rd edition got to the point that homebrew was almost impossible because there were 500 classes already, and as soon as someone homebrewed something, someone who knew the books would say, oh yeah, that's almost just like this, and point to one of the classes in one of the books. Everything was there. Everything you could think of had a class. In 5e, they've said basically, hey, look, here's the stuff that we've released. Yeah, we'll give you some extra options online here and there with the Unearthed Arcana. But for the most part, if you want to build something, build it. If you want to do something, do it. It's put the onus back on the player, back on the DM, back on the gaming group to build the game they want to play. And that is amazing. Now, what that does mean is that you have players like me who spend 10 or 15 hours a week. Maybe more. I don't want to admit to more. I'll say 10 to 15. That doesn't sound too bad. Probably more. Anyway, you have people like me who spend 10 to 15 hours a week looking through old 3rd edition, 3.5, 2nd edition content and reimagining it into 5e. Now, I know that you can go into the whole, oh, well, you can't, do this, that, and the other because of the open gaming license, and you're only allowed to use this and that. But here's the thing. I'm developing content for my gaming group. I'm not profiting off of it. I'm not selling it on. Some of my original stuff that I've actually done myself, yeah, I might put that up on the DM's Guild, maybe. I don't make much off of that, but, a little bit. But anything that I'm converting off of an old class, that's just because we want to use it in the game. And that's exactly what the rules in the DMG say to do. Take this old race, run it through this idea, run it through this setup, and now you've got it in 5e. And I've got all of that documented for my players. And I realize as I start going through it, I have hundreds and hundreds of pages of Homebrew. And there's still thousands of pages left to go through. I've not even scratched the surface. It's a crazy thought, but considering it's something I enjoy, it means I'm not going to run out of things to do anytime soon. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Homebrew. There have been times, it's been overpowered. It can still be overpowered if you don't watch out for it. But in 5e, it's an essential part of the game. It's in the rules of the game. The DMG says, look, if you don't see it in our books, make it yourself. That is what D&D is. So the next time a player wants to do something new, try something different, don't tell them it's not in the rule book. Please, don't tell them it's not in the rule book. If you have any idea about making your own homebrew, try to make it for the player. If you don't, ask if the player wants to make it and let you sign off on it. But don't just say no to an idea. Now, I'm saying this. There are some games where a certain idea will not work. And if it's not right for your setting, if it's not right for your game, fine, then say no. But don't say no just because it's not in the bloody book. That's my advice for the day. Anyway, have a good one. I'll catch you tomorrow for the campaign recap. Day off on Sunday, and then we'll be back here on Monday for what should be a very interesting set of predictions. Have a good one.